And bam, I think we are now live, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Let me make sure I'm in here. We're good. And thank you. Welcome to Order of Alchemy's Alchemy 101 tonight. Still got to get this right. Thank you guys for being patient. Trying to do this on 5 all at the same time. There we go. Perfect. All right. So tonight on Alchemy 101, if you guys are new to the show, my name is Halo Marquez. I am the founder, creator of the radio show. But before this, I have been doing a biotech company for almost a decade now. It's been absolutely exceptional. Absolutely love every minute of it. It's been so great. Hey, John. How you doing, man? So I had this amazing expo about a year ago, almost exactly now, that we had just such an amazing time at Conscious Life Expo. And I think this year, they actually gave me the opportunity to be able to give a lecture there all about Mistech, right? So tonight for the Alchemy 101 radio show, if you're hearing me on August 1st, just know this is a pre-recorded show. I do a live broadcast as well. You guys that are joining me on Facebook or on IG, thank you and welcome. You guys will actually be able to see bits of the slideshow I've been working on for this lecture. And I thought tonight would be a perfect time to do like a almost like a crash course or a trial, if you will, of how the lecture will go. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. If anyone has any questions, anyone has any feedback, anyone that's used any of the Mistech jewelry items, any of your feedback is always fantastic. You like it, you hate it, whatever's honest. That's all I'm ever looking for. So yeah, let's get into it. So the perfect conductor, right? What I'm talking about this for, this guys, is your body. Right, you have to know this, is the most amazing biomechanical machine that exists, that we are aware of, right? And if you don't know this, and you don't understand that, you don't treat your body that way, I'm telling you, there's a very specific reason that you have a lot of things going on in your life without having the proper juices flowing through your machine. A car needs oil, gas, these type of things. Your body also has very specific vitamins, minerals, energies, all these different things that it needs in order to house your divine being, which is really, really exciting to me. It's just such an amazing thing that you guys have to understand that being human, right? You're a human being, or being human, depending on which language. Sometimes we put it in the front. And anyways, you're this energetic divine being. That's what you really are, right? This is amazing. And so on the video, if you're with me, I'm going back and forth between my phone camera and between my actual camera for Facebook. So if you see me looking back and forth, don't be weirded out. It's okay. Just trying to make sure I cover everybody. Paul, Jackie, Johan, how you doing? Thank you guys for joining. So your actual being is this divine, godly, energetic force, right? So if you don't already know that or whatever, you can see more of Alchemy 101 on Artist First. You can see it on orderofalchemy.org. And we get into a lot more things about the actual being that you are, right? But so consider, whether you believe this or not, but just in the sake of the lecture, and so you can understand this and save some time, just imagine and know that you are this divine God energy, right? Now, if you were to try to compress that and put that into some type of medium or vehicle or container, you would have to have very specific things that are there in order to let that type of energy be housed, if you will, right? So that's what I mean when I say the human body is the perfect conductor. It does so much more than just what we eat and drink, and there's just so many more details that, tonight on the show, I'm gonna do my best to cover with you guys. And again, this is the it's really hard to hear me. Thank you for that. Hold on, tell me if this. Is that any better? Can you hear me any better now? Let me know. But I'll do my best to cover it. And again, this is the crash course version, if you will. Tavis, what's up, man? I see you. Yeah, let me know if you guys can hear me okay. But let's see. Let's get this over here so we can get the lecture going. I'll do this. No, I don't have that. We want to do. You got it here. No. So I'm trying to just share a screen with you guys, and I don't mess with this part of the program that much. So can you guys hear me okay out there? All right, so check this out. So the perfect conductor, right? This is what I'm talking about. So your body, you hear better now? Thank you. your body being able to house all of these things, right, requires some very, very specific elements, vitamins, minerals, and so on that your body needs to have, right? And it's not that it's your body that necessarily needs it, it's that your energetic being, who you really are, is something that's required, something that's needed for the divine being that you are, right? So let's see. So conduction, right? And I apologize, anyone that already knows these things, the lecture I'm doing, I'm under the impression that there'll be lots and lots of intelligent people and lots and lots of not as intelligent people. So we're going to get this all broken down into the base level of everything that we can. So if you already know this stuff, just bear with me. But, one of the big things about the body is conduction, right? And so what does that really mean, right? So dictionary, right? I'm telling you guys, we do it. So the process by which heat or electricity is directly transmitted through a substance when there is a difference of temperature or of electrical potential. That part's important, between adjoining regions. And regions is really important in this definition as well, without movement of the material. The process by which sound waves travel through the medium, the transmission of impulse along the nerve, right? So that's conduction, guys. That's what that means. It's basically the ability to absorb and then redirect energy, right? Now we can use heat or electricity, but these are just the more detailed, fancier words for energy, right? And with Alchemy, on Alchemy 101, one of the things we talk about very consistently, and you do this with lots of other things like chemistry, building a house, you break every single thing down to the base level possible, right? The more details you have, the more murky it gets. So just keep everything very simplified. Conduction is the ability to transfer energy without losing any of the potential stuff. If you guys are with me on Instagram, I apologize. I don't have a way to share the pictures and everything with you, but I will be reading through them. So, just bear with me that way. Hopefully that works out, right? So that's conduction, right? Again, guys, just the basics. So conductor, what's a conductor? I know it's not on your screen yet. Don't worry, it'll get there. It's a term that's used in physics generally, but it's a material or device that conducts or transmits heat, electricity, or sound, especially when regarded in terms of its capacity. I'm going to read this again, guys. This is really, really important stuff, right? This is why I'm calling it. It has to be a lecture. It can't be a regular show. A material or device that conducts or transmits heat, electricity, or sound, especially regarded in terms of its capacity to do this. Now, the reason that this is such an important thing for you guys to know and to just really point out is it talks about the capacity. Right now, as your body is this divine instrument, right? Perfect conductor. It has a very specific capacity of how much energy that it can hold, right? Like Jonathan Ricardo's in the building, right? Boxing, boom, boom, boom. Now, before you start working out, your muscles have a specific capacity of what they can and cannot do, right? That's the capacity that they're at. If you want to have more strength, more power, more energy, with me, if you want those things, then you have to work out the capacity, the capacitor. You have to expand that, and you have to grow that, right? Now, you cannot do that unless you know that that's what you are and who you are and what you're capable of, right? So conductor, graphite is a reasonably good conductor of electricity. It's also another term for lightning rod. Now, interestingly enough, guys, what we're going to be talking about during the lecture is going to be about the Schumann resonance and about 7.83 hertz and just how your body is supposed to work, right? Now, to skip ahead, I'll let everyone know that the Schumann resonance is actually nothing to do with human consciousness, right? And this is why in the title I talked about some misinformation, but it actually comes from lightning strikes. So when you're talking about a conductor and saying it's another term for a lightning rod, and you're an energetic being, what do they hit you with when you're about to die? A volt of electricity, because that is what you are. That's what keeps your spark, if you will, alive. So we've got conduction, conductor. Again, there's going to be a couple terms, guys. I'm just getting everyone prepared, all right? So electricity or electrical energy. So electricity is actually only a term that's really used by electrical companies, right? In physics, it's more in regards or contextual to energetic output. Electricity is the presence and flow of electric charge. Its best known form is the flow of electrons through conductors such as copper wires. So again, there's that word conductors again. We've got electrons. Now here's also a really dope thing. Lime is a natural electrolyte solution, making a good source of biopower. So what does that mean? That means that biomechanical things, right? Like your body, like fruits and vegetables, right? These things are out there that can actually generate their own biopower, their own types of electricity. And this is something that science knows and acknowledges. Now, to know that that's a fact, and then not to think that you have the capacity to also generate, or that you do all day generate all sorts of different types of biopower, is crazy. And this is not things that we talk about, get told, experienced. Like, none of these things happen. But what's really interesting, and a lot of people that I see in the channel have actually tried out the Mystic, and they do know about a lot of these things. Nikola Tesla, hey man, thank you. Thank you, Jay. I'm trying, man. That's my guy. But most of the people that are in the channel know about a lot of these things, right? But when you get down into the science of it, I'm going to tell you guys that through these type of studies and these practices and getting things like Mystic, you will be able to expand your own capacity, your ability to house all of this. So people that are trying to have those breakthroughs of, I want to learn how to astral project, I want to have deeper meditation, I want my energy healing to be stronger, more direct, I just want to be able to tap more into my divine. You can only do that by really fine-tuning your divine instrument, right? Because it is a conductor, and that means everything that's around, guys, everything. And that's what a lot of these terms and gloss and all this stuff is for, is so you can really understand the basis of what I'm talking about. So let's see, lightning. Very exciting. Make sure that skip ahead. Okay, good, lightning. So the occurrence of a natural, this is very important. Smitty, what's up? Jay, love you. Steven, how you guys doing? Thanks for joining. Johan, I still see you. So electrical discharge of very short duration and high voltage between a cloud and the ground, or within a cloud, accompanied by a bright flash, and typically also a tremendous flash of lightning. Okay. Adjective, very quick, a lightning cure for his hangover, which many people have actually referred to it. I'm telling you guys, it's weird, but you got to try this. All right, so I think we're all on the same page so far. Okay, so osmosis, right? Moving into more terms. And I promise, guys, it'll all come back. Don't worry, it's good. We just got to make sure we have the understanding. So the process of gradual or unconscious assimilation of ideas, knowledge, etc. What she knows of the blue blood set she learned not through birthright, not even through wealth, but through osmosis. So guys, osmosis is not just something that takes place within plants, within your cells, where different vitamins, minerals, and nutrients are transferring just between tissue. That's not all osmosis is. Osmosis, again, is the process of gradual or unconscious assimilation of ideas, knowledge, etc. What I'm going to go ahead and do is fill in the etc. And it's also the energy that you're around, whether it's toxic, whether it's healing, whatever it might be, that's still part of osmosis. That the body, again, guys, the human body is just, it's so amazing with all the things it can do. And it will absorb all the things around, whether it's stuff that you're listening to, even things that you just sit on your skin. You put meat on your arm long enough, it will actually start to absorb in and leave like a mark on your skin. Your body can do osmosis in a multitude of ways. That's how amazing it is. Let's see what else we got. Boom, boom, boom. Radio waves. Okay, now earlier, guys, we were talking about electricity and all this being energy. Radio waves are simply another form of energy. So an electromagnetic wave, right? See, energy, electricity. An electromagnetic wave of a frequency between about 10.4 and 10.11 or 10.12 hertz as used for long distance communication. Not for long distance communication, but obviously within radio waves and within the span of all the different frequencies out there, they go way, way smaller. They go all the way up into the megahertz and such as well. But again, the fact that radio waves need an antenna of some kind in order to be picked up, right? So if you need those radio waves to be picked up, then you have to have a material that's a conductor to be able to pick this stuff up, right? Now, here's the interesting thing. Once we start getting into the body, is this not in here yet? Oh, I don't have it. Oh, I so apologize, guys. That's okay. I'll pull it up real quick. It's no problem. We've got amazing animes out there, like Full Metal Alchemist, that will help me with this right now. So let's get, don't worry about it. But the body is composed of a number of different minerals, vitamins, things like that. And here's the weird thing, guys. A lot of those materials and minerals that are there are things that are put in other devices to attract and transmute and download other forms of energy that are out there, like a radio wave, right? So if those materials are used as components inside these devices, and you have those same types of metals, minerals, materials within your body, you have to know that those things are definitely affecting your body. They're definitely giving you downloads. They're definitely having a version of osmosis that's happening to your divine being to house your divine being. Like this is a real thing. So makeup okay. Now it's funny because they have this in an anime, but if you look it up, it's fairly accurate. We're not going to go with 100%, but pretty fairly accurate. There we go. So water, carbon, ammonia, lime, phosphorus, salt, pepper, saltpeter, sulfur, fluorine, iron, silicon. Now, guys, here's what's funny. If you're watching me right now and you're on your phone primarily, most of the circuits are made out of silicon. So you have silicon in your body. You have trace amounts of 15 other elements as well, right? And so when you get, like, consider this is a really interesting one. When you get a metal filling in your tooth that's very, very close to your brain, and depending on the material, it can actually have a draw on different waves that you're in, whether it's radio, whether it's UV, actually even UV light, what's up right now. There's just a number of different things that are going through the body at all times, right? Now, ultraviolet light. I wanted to kind of start to end on this with all the different definitions because ultraviolet light didn't get discovered until the 1800s, right? Now, for the lecture is, again, they want to know about MISTEC, right? So that's the main reason for that. So what you have to understand is, one of the things we talk about in MISTEC, just because people have not heard about this yet, I don't know, but they know, Kardashians, that's our go-to. But because they haven't heard of it, they think it's not a real thing. Okay, so ultraviolet light not being discovered until the 1800s, right? I think it was 1803. How is that possible that could not be real for almost 2,000 years because nobody knew of it? Or you have to consider the possibility that maybe we just don't know everything, and the only thing that kind of outdoes our ego is our arrogance. It's really weird, and which is weird because they're almost the same, but they're not. And you guys work on it at home. It's okay. So ultraviolet light has shorter wavelengths than visible light. So that means we can't see it. So it's there, but we can't see it. Like certain sounds that dogs can hear that we can't, or certain people are colorblind, right? So when you've got people out there that say, well, I've had meditation, I never felt anything, right? Well, there's people that are colorblind, right? There's people that I've never done basketball. You can practice and learn to do these things. Although UV waves are invisible to the human eyes, some insects, such as bumblebees, can see them. This is similar to how dogs see right there. So again, guys, just because there's a number of things that we do know, there's an even larger number of things that we do not, right? So this brings me back to the divine instrument of what the body is. Okay. Now, whatever created this planet, this plane, this world that we're on right now, okay, well, regardless of what your belief system is, we have this amazing video on the MISTEC site called Resonance Beings of Frequency, right? Third party, nothing to do with us, but still, a lot of the information, it will be right there. So the earth has been naturally charged, right? So you have to understand that when you have your physical body that needs, you have to consume to process, to create energy for your physical being, right? That's not the same thing as what you need to grow your spiritual being, right? Like if you consider your body as the car, right? Now, if you have a full gas tank, it doesn't mean that your battery is on. Okay, so it doesn't mean that it even has a charge. Those are two very different things, both needed for the instrument, still both equally important, but two very different things, okay? So your divine instrument does not have anything to do with the Schumann resonance other than that is the frequency it's supposed to be tuned into. Now, when I say the Schumann resonance, I don't mean the consistently shifting, changing one that's going up and down. While that is definitely still part of the definition. The actual Schumann resonance is 7.83 hertz, right? Again, guys, go watch the video on the mistech.net website. But resonance beings of frequency, I mean, you can find it on YouTube as well. But what you'll find out is from lightning strikes from eons ago, right? Millions of years, over and over and over. When they stop, they begin to resonate at that 7.83 hertz. That is what the Schumann resonance is, okay? So this is the part, and I'm sure a lot of New Agers, and I'm one of them, are not going to like what I'm going to say now, but I need you just to take a minute and consider a couple of different things, okay? Just work with me on this. So your being, right, your energetic being needs this body, this conduit, this vessel. And this vessel is supposed to be working in tune with the planet, right? Hopefully we all know this by now. But the Earth's natural frequency is 7.83 hertz. That's the physical field, right? It's not a spiritual thing. So all these things, I get people all the time that say, well, why do you guys use 7.83 hertz? Because it's spiked to 10 something and it's been up to 33. What does that have to do with anything? If you have pure water, right, like just pure H2O, no contaminants, nothing else that's in it, and when you read it, you get the perfect pH level, the perfect version of the perfect, purest water that you can find. And you measure that, right? And it says 7.83 hertz, right? For safety's sake, just working with you. Then a dog or a bear or some wild animal comes and pees in the water, and now the pH goes way, way, way crazier than what it was at before. Whether it goes up or it goes down, and someone goes, what changed? What does that have to do with anything? The original version is in its pure H2O form. So the Schumann resonance original 7.83 hertz is where it's supposed to be at. Now, in the New Age community, I hear all the time that it's going up because our consciousness is raising, and that's what we're seeing. And I'm just letting you guys know right now, bullshit. It has nothing to do with that. I'm not saying that the human consciousness is not rising. That is, it definitely is. That's fantastic. I'm just saying it has nothing to do with the Schumann resonance. And it's same thing as you fill your gas tank, your battery doesn't get a charge from that. They're two different systems. So you have to understand that it's not coming from meditating. Like there's days where we've had worldwide mass meditations, and guess what happened to the Schumann resonance? Nothing. Nothing happened that day. Now, we've also had other days where there's big cosmic events that are coming, and guess what happens? Everyone powers up all their high-powered telescopes, and people are chatting about it, and there's way more electronics that are being used, talking about in the social media web that we have, all about all of the new electrical things that are going on right now, right? That is what happens. And because of that spike, the Schumann resonance goes way up. Are you guys with me on this? Does this make sense? Hopefully, kind of, sort of, maybe, it's almost there. So that's not what the Schumann resonance is. So while the human consciousness and as a whole, as a conglomerate, man, we are leaps and bounds to where we're going and what's happening. It's phenomenal. It's great. But I'm just saying the Schumann resonance is not coming from the mass consciousness that's raising. We're talking about two different systems completely. So speaking of systems, within the lecture, obviously, because we're talking about a science thing, people want to have the science, right? So within the scientific community right now, right, medical mostly, what we acknowledge within the body systems are only a handful. And we still right now, like anyone that's out there right now that can tell me what part of the body houses human consciousness, like for sure, not because you read it somewhere, but like definitively, we have no way that we can measure that. That's okay. But we do have things like the skeletal system. We can measure your bones. We can see that. The respiratory system, the muscular system. These are all the ones that get acknowledged. Now, the very last thing you'll come down to is the nervous system, right? Now, the nervous system is the closest thing that we have that acknowledges the electrical body of the human being, all right? But it's still not the same thing. It's not, the nervous system still has the physical part of it, right? We're talking about at a molecular level, at a nano level, where your protons and where all that stuff works and all electricity going through the body. Thank you, Lindsay. You have a couple of them. It's okay. Thank you. That is the electric body, right? And that's not here on the acknowledged body systems. So if that's not there, then how could we possibly know what it's doing, how to fix it, how to work on it, any of those things, right? So again, guys, I like to have analogies. It simplifies things. So if you, again, consider your body to be a car and you get into a car accident and something gets dented, right? You blow a tire, you've got to work on the engine, anything like that, you take it to the mechanic, right? Or your doctor. That's what we do. However, if something happens to the wiring and the mechanic has not had specialized training, then you have to take it to someone that knows how to work on the electric system of the car, someone that can redo the wiring, someone that can make sure everything is connected and that there's no short circuits and those type of things, right? So right now, the way that the medical field is set up, unfortunately, they don't recognize that field. And without recognizing that field, there's a multitude of things that they cannot work on. I'm not saying we don't need surgeons and like that's still just as important, but If you have a car and the electric system is not working correctly, a multitude of systems are going to fail. They're going to run improperly. You're going to have to reset your clock all the time. Like all these things happen. So that same thing happens within the human body when that electric system is out of whack. Does this make sense? Hey, Jackie, how you doing? And Jackie, I mean, you're teaching at least last time we spoke, the 7.83 hertz grounding and everything for physicality. And I mean, even that, guys, like that is insane. Like there's people that know about this stuff, but not in the in-depth study version of hopefully this is helping some people. Please let me know. So far, we've covered your body as a gigantic conductor that's housing your God divine energy, right? So obviously it needs to be very specifically tuned. It needs very specific vitamins, minerals, oils. It needs to be a fine-tuned machine, right? Now, unfortunately, because again, mainstream doesn't really talk about the electric body, there's only so many things that you can fix at the mechanic before you have to start seeing somebody else to get things worked on. So when your body's out there and you're being bombarded by the radio waves, the UV, other people, even their words, TV, LED lights, blue light, all these different things that are constantly affecting your divine instrument. This throws every other system that you have out of whack. You have to understand that. So, and again, guys, as I finish up the lecture, I'll have a couple more visuals for you guys and stuff, but just imagine for a second, your nervous system being a straight line, right? So if you have pain, that pain signal has to travel from where the pain is to your brain and back. And if that line is straight and is allowed, a clear flow, like any other type of electric signal, then it goes very fast, okay, that's where the pain is. Now, because of all these different EMFs that we have around us, from cell phones, from lights, from, again, all the electronics around, unfortunately, Tesla's word got really, really hit. We're doing our best to uncover and rediscover, but it's at a point now where we've built ourselves into this electrical poisoned world. And that's what's crazy is people go camping and hiking all the time and then say, man, I love going camping and hiking because the fresh air makes me feel better. Well, surprise, it's actually not the fresh air, maybe 5 to 12% at best, right? More oxygen and so on. Really what happens is you get away from all this electronic pollution, right? All these things that affect your electric body, and your body will naturally start to realign. So this straight line is still straight, because otherwise it's going like this. And your signals are very confused from which direction am I supposed to be running in right now because of the bombardment of EMFs. Now, again, your protons are supposed to be spinning congruently in the same direction. And this is part of what your energy flows and travels, right? So if that straight line gets messed up or distorted or anything at all, then the effects of what that's supposed to be carrying and its job that it's supposed to be doing are not going to be fulfilled as accurately or directly as they're supposed to. Does that make sense? Okay, good. We got to figure out another word instead of amen. That's funny. No, anyways. So here's what happens. So with Mystic, right, we've developed a very specific process. And again, I've said this multiple times. I apologize. We can't get into all the details. We have legality things like NDAs, and there's lots of information that we just cannot share right now. But we do have more things, terms you can look into, things you can look up. But we have this modified MRI machine, essentially, is what we use. And as long as we have something with a crystalline molecular structure, like metal, mineral, glass, so on, we can run it through this process. Now, depending on the material it's made out of, that will regulate the amount of time that we run it through the process, and will also regulate the intensity that we run it at. Now, we've developed multiple processes, but we still have our main that we use, and then we've created like secondaries just to see the other effects. And once we created one very specific secondary, everything started blowing up. We got way more testimonials, much more feedback, and it's been really, really exciting. And I'll be even more excited when I can tell you guys the how and the why. And the handful of people that are out there, even some people I see on the channel, do know what this is, and it's insane. It's going to be mind blowing, but we still can't share it just yet. Okay, but just know that there is actually a process that we go through. People send me items all the time. So with Mystic, we're able to customize, right? We're calling it Lightning Forge because, again, we're using it to imprint the shoe lessons. Now, for people out there that say, well, how do I know the frequencies in there? Or how do you know? First of all, I want you to tell me the octane level of your gas by taking it out of the gas tank, and tell me what reader you have to know the octane level. I want you to tell me the exact amount of electrons, protons. I want you to tell me the entire makeup of the battery in your car. You don't know that, and you don't have a tool for that. You don't. You don't. But you do know that when you hook it up and you fill it up the right way, it runs and it works amazingly. Now, luckily, there is a machine out there called a diffractometer that it uses 2 high-intense X-ray laser beams that can actually read and tell you the frequency of any material that you place it on there. Now, we have one of those, and we use that as we develop this system, okay? Now, anyone that wants to go out there and spend roughly $50,000 plus to make sure a $20, $25, even a $250 item actually is imprinted with the charge, by all means, please do that. I'm very excited. Please, by all means. Or you can try it, see the effects for a week, take it off, let your body reset, and that's the best way that you can know. So here's the thing. When I say in your car, you don't have a way to tell me the octane level, right? But you know that if you step on the gas, it will move, so it must be doing something, right? Now check this out. If you take one of our bands and put it over a glass of water, which, guys, again, when I was reading all the makeup of the human body, what was it? First thing was water. So your water that's in your body can transmute and transmit energy like crazy, right? Surprise. So in that same context, if you take a glass of water and take any Mistech product that we have and set it right next to the glass, above the glass, and freeze the water, Nader, what's up, brother? It'll freeze an actual pattern into the ice so you can see the feel that it makes. So you might not have the actual tool that you want. I love you, Jackie. Good seeing you. Take care. I'll be in Australia soon. We'll catch up. But you don't have the exact tool to measure the frequency, but you have a way to measure that something's happening. So again, I apologize for that. And when they make a more affordable version, hopefully everyone's got one. But in the meantime, that's the best that we're able to offer for that. Okay. So what happens is your body goes through all this distortion. Now, for anyone that doesn't know what that term means, what I mean by goes through distortion, hopefully everyone at some point has been in the car listening to the radio. And while you're listening to the radio, you get a cell phone call. Now, when that call comes in, because of the strong wave that's coming into your cell phone from the radio tower, right? Cell phone, excuse me. But from that strong wave that's coming in, that creates a distortion within your radio signal of your song you're listening to. Now, you can still make the song out, but it becomes distorted. It becomes kind of crappy sounding, right? So anyone that wakes up and goes, oh, I feel crappy, guess why? Because you're literally sitting in a place that's doing nothing but distorting all the signals in your body. You still can make out the song. You can still make out the tune. I don't know how to do that, Nader. No. Live lecture. You're scary. It's scary to have me on that. But I love you, though. I love you much. And so because of that distortion, things don't go through the proper way, right? So with Mistech, with this frequency, what happens with the resonant, like there's a magnetic field that's out there, right? So people say it's the same as magnets. No, magnets need something that's metallic to have a catalytic effect, right? With something that's resonant, it just has to be something that kind of corresponds. And with us, we're doing it in a very specific way that works with something biologic, right? So once this gets within about an inch of your body, right? Any of the Mistech products, right? The field that it is imprinted with. Again, once it gets within an inch of your body, the water that's in your body and your makeup, the perfect conductor that you are, it travels and takes the rest over. But it goes to a cellular level and it restabilizes all the protons at a molecular level get jacked up from all these different EMFs and from all these different toxicities and from all the negative osmosis that goes through your body, right? So with this, once it gets within an inch of your body, it like sends like a wave almost straight through. Wave, really, it's a frequency. It goes through your body like a wave and it starts straightening out everything that's out of place until everything is back to congruent and working in perfect alignment the way your body is intended. Now, here's the thing. When people talk to me about Mistech, they ask me, should I get a level 1 or should I get a level 2? Because just like anything else, we can have different levels of potency. You can make a weak magnet, you can make a strong magnet. You can make Tylenol with 250 milligrams, you can make it with 500 milligrams. So level 1 and level 2 is simply a way that we explain our potency, right? Now, level 1 to level 2 is about a 10 times stronger jump, right? So generally when I'm talking to people about it, I tell them it's like drinking a beer versus taking 6 shots. They're both alcohol, one's just stronger, faster, so on. So if you're in a lot of EMF toxicity, right, and your environment is really, really bad, then you probably need a level 2 because you have a lot more waves that are around you all the time trying to distort your field, right? So you need a stronger protector. You need a stronger tool. That makes sense. On the other hand, if you're a little kid and you don't have a big mass of things that need to be kind of stabilized, and you live out in the woods and you don't get around electronics so much, then by all means, you don't need any Mistec, and please don't buy the product. I don't want people that don't need it. But in the meantime, the science behind it and the fact of what it is, whether people know or not, has nothing to do with this. It still is a fact. Now, here's what's really interesting. And again, for anyone that's on Instagram, I'm sorry you won't be able to see this, but if you've not been to the Mistec page, this is going to be really fun. We're going to share this real quick. Let's see how we do here, boom, good. Sorry, guys, I'm just trying to make sure I get all this up on the screen right with you guys. So hopefully everyone's still with me right now. So if you're not familiar with the term biometric feedback, please take the time to look it up. But there's actually a device out there that has all these different little scanners that you put your hand on, and it reads the biometrics of your body, and it takes that information and it translates it into what your aura would look like, right? It's called aura photography. Now, a lot of people, because we like to assume as humans, it's okay, like to assume that this idea means that there's some magical camera that can pick up and detect your glorious aura. And oh, how did they figure this out? That's nothing to do with it, guys. 90%, I say 90 because there are some people out there that BS and say, oh yeah, your cell phone, download the app, it'll tell you what your aura looks like. Your phone doesn't have that built in, like that makes no sense. But the real ones that are out there have this little hand-looking plate that has all these different little nodes on it, and it reads your alpha waves and your delta waves and all these different things, and then it takes it and shows you what your aura would look like. Now, it's so accurate that it can even show you places where, like, if you've had surgery before, or if you're having pain in a certain area, and it shows up by a shady area, right? Or maybe not as bright, or sometimes the fields look a little bit more broken. And so when I was at this expo, we were actually lucky enough to have a woman that wasn't sure if Mistec was real. She had just got her biometric feedback done, right? And she brought over a picture. So I'm going to show you guys this. I think this is pretty exceptional. So anyone that needs the proof, how do I know it's doing something? Well, this is what it is. And the interesting thing is, I know there's people that are going to see this and then say, well, that doesn't tell me anything. Right. There's not going to be an amount of information I can give you that's going to tell you anything that you want to know. So it's okay. You can stay in the place where it's not real, and that's totally okay. But if you want to take the time to actually do the research, look into it, I'm telling you, it's crazy. So look at this. Look at this really quick. So this woman started off, and just so you guys know, the way that this is designed with the biometric feedback is going from your root chakra, which is red, and then going through the spectrum all the way up to purple and white, which is up at the top. And generally, the brighter the top colors and the more close to the top colors, the better energetically the person is, right? So when this woman came over, once I'm going to pull this up. Hope everyone's having a good night. Jade, what's up, brother? I see you. Nate started doing my video. Yeah, no. So I'm just waiting for this to come up so you guys can see it. So people that are on Artist First, what I'm pulling up is a silhouette of a body inside a yellow-looking aura field, and then there's different little dots that go down the middle for the chakra points. And some of them are much bigger than others, some are small, some are shrunk, so on. So here's what's really, really cool. All right, guys, ready for this? So she started off in this yellow space, right? And if you look up towards the middle of her head, there's a couple little shady spots. And on the left side, there's this really small little shadow that comes through. And she told me she actually had surgery. So when I say it's really accurate, it's crazy, scarily accurate. So she showed us, this was her photo. And then she asked if she put Mistec on, if that would change anything about it. And I said, well, we're working on a different field, but I know it still is definitely going to improve things in the body. I just couldn't tell you how much, how quickly. So check this out, guys. After she got the Mistec, right? She got level 2. She didn't tell us anything, but she went over to get another photo done. And in less than 5 minutes, she came back. Now, as I scroll down, if you had to guess, which side do you think, like which arm, because we sell jewelry, which arm do you think that she was wearing this jewelry on? Now, again, at Artist First, you guys can't see the image. So here's what happened. Her field immediately changed from yellow to like an orangish color on the edges, but the whole right side of this photo, the entire right side, is now this bright, vibrant lime green. In less than 5 minutes, you could see the biometric change that happened in her body, but it only happened on the right side because she had just put it on. So it does take time for Mistech to work and to completely realign everything within the body. Generally speaking, it's about 2 to 3 days, right? That's general, but everyone's different. People have different metals, minerals, materials in their body that's going to take their conducting and realignment process could be different than someone else. So we tell people give it at least a week to let it really work. But right here, being able to see physical evidence, guys, this happened in less than 5 minutes, right? It's crazy. Now, here's what's even better. The next day, the woman comes back and says she slept amazingly, but she wanted to come back and get more. And she went and got another photo before she came and saw us. Now, on this photo, her entire field had changed to this like very bright blue. And then on the right side, still had the big green streak, but on the left side now was this bright purple. Now, if you guys don't know this, within metaphysics teachings, understandings, so on, your left hand is the hand that you absorb things with, and your right hand is what you give things with. Generally, there's some people out there are different, but so if you were looking at this in a metaphysical realm, this would say her left side was now being able to be open enough to draw in all this divine energy and information, and her right hand was able to emit nothing but love. That's the green color of the heart chakra. So this right here, you can see the transformation happen in real time. Overnight, this happened. Right now, because she saw this, she decided that she was excited enough that she wanted to come back and get, I think, was it 2 more? Because she ended up getting 2 originally, I think, and she wanted to get 2 on each wrist. So then she put them on, and guess what she did? She went and got another picture. And in less than 5 minutes now, what ended up happening is everything as far as the wings that were green and purple, now it was all blue, right? Which is the ability to communicate, right? And her field had turned to green, which was all love. So within a matter of minutes, whether you want to take the metaphysical standings of it or not is irrelevant. You can physically see that is changed from wearing Mystic. Now, there's things that you can do to like breathe certain ways or think about certain stuff that you can make the field change, but not only on one side, right? So the guy that was running this, he freaked out and even came over and had a conversation with me. And I'm pretty sure because of this, this is why I got the invitation to even be able to do the expo in the first place. It's absolutely amazing. I'm still astounded, and I'm glad that created this. Like it's insane. So that's the conductor part of what Mystic can do, right? Now, here's what's cool about this. For pain, right? Because a lot of times we have people ask about, well, how can it fix pain in my foot and in my elbow? Well, surprise, everything that works in your body that's pain related runs through your nervous system. So if your nervous system is jacked up, it doesn't matter what part of your body is messed up, those pain signals cannot travel in a way undistorted. So it makes your pain feel like it's in a larger space. It feels way, way, way more prevalent, and it's way worse than it actually is. So what Mystic is doing, again, you can see the proof here of what it's doing and changing in the body. It's helping align those systems so those signals travel the right way. What that means is if you have an actual real life ailment, right? You have something that you broke at some point in your life. And on a 1 to 10 scale, it really, 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 really is at a 2, right? But when you're all out there within the toxicity of all these pollutants for your divine instrument, what ends up happening is that 1 or 2, because the signal can't travel right, it feels like a 6 or a 7. So with Mystic, we can't get you lower than a 1 or a 2, right? We can't do that because that's what it really is. But we can make sure that the signals are traveling in such a way that it's the actual real deal version of how bad it really is. And what's really weird is in literally a decade of doing this, it's usually upwards of like 65% worse, right? Just per customer feedback, that's what we get. I have people that call me and tell me they had the best night's sleep ever, that they got movement back in their arm. And here's what's weird, guys. How can your muscles and have surgery and everything put you in a spot with a torn rotator cuff where you have limited mobility, and per the doctors, that's as far as you're ever going to be able to go? You look up Mystic on YouTube and you type in Mystic rotator cuff and see video after video after video of us giving people their mobility back within their body, right? And just from putting a bracelet on. That's it. Because it's not the bracelet that you're paying for, right? The same way that your cell phone is not the outside case that says Samsung on it or iPhone, unfortunately, for some people. Yeah, it's okay. A different conversation, different topic. We'll get into that another day. It's still really important. But so you have different things on the outside, but the $800 for my phone was for all the circuitry and everything that's working on the inside. That's what you pay for. So when you buy one of these bracelets, you're not paying for the bead, you're not paying for the design, you're paying for the frequency that's been imprinted into this. And to my knowledge, we have the only machine that can do it the way that we do, and we definitely are the only company that I know of that has the secondary process. I know that because I created it and I have told a handful of people about it, but how, that's IP and it's got to be. So this is the perfect conductor that is the human body, right? Now, it cannot process and function at its highest capacity without being fine-tuned, just like any other instrument, right? You can have the most beautifully handcrafted grand piano built by a master piano maker. And when he's done, still someone has to come in and fine-tune the keys. If it sits for too long, you have to fine-tune that instrument so it can make the beautiful music that it needs for the world, right? So being that the body is the perfect conductor, right? Now here's what's funny. So I did that conductor in music. Who's the guy that runs all the people? The conductor. He's the one that makes sure that all the music is playing in sync and as perfectly as possible, right? So your body being the conductor, right? It has the ability to make sure that everything within it is running in sync and making beautiful music for the world. But it can't do that unless you're finely tuned. And you cannot be finely tuned in an environment that's constantly taking you out of tune, constantly taking you out of your space that you're supposed to be in. So when people are very tired, very run down, there's a number of things that you can do, but I'm going to tell you right now, because again, you're a divine being, you're connected to the earth, take your socks and shoes off and go outside and stand on the ground. That is a direct contact to the Schumann resonance. Now, unfortunately, while the earth is charged at this upper level, right, below it's not. And in resonance beings of frequency, you'll see tests that they did where they took and put kids underground where they no longer had access to the Schumann resonance and they got sick and disoriented and so on. And as soon as they were able to go back up into the field, they became fine again. So if you're ever feeling just kind of out of place, you're tired, just get out of town, right? If you don't want to get missing, right, that's fine. It's fine. I own the company, don't care if you get it. I honestly want you to feel better. So if you don't want to try out the product, even though it's got a money back guarantee, that's fine. Then just get out of town for a couple of days. Go camping, right? I don't mean go somewhere and stay in a resort. That's not what I'm talking about. Get away from all the electronics and get yourself back into nature. And it's weird because there's other countries that literally prescribe going into nature for a walk as a way to medically treat somebody, right? Guess what? They're not the places that have big pharmaceutical companies. Weird. Now they have some, but they don't. That's not the focus. So again, we're just set up in a place where we're constantly having our divine instrument taken down and broken and pulled. Everyone's pulling our strings all the time, right? And so because of that, it's very, very difficult to go through your day and do your life's work. You wake up and you feel tired. Well, something's out of tune, right? You wake up and you're not motivated. Something's out of tune. Now, again, there's a multitude of ways to get this fine-tuning, guys. But the Schumann resonance is something that your body needs to have. And I'm talking about the 7.83 hertz, okay, not the new age version. Because here's the thing, right? And this will be fun. We'll see how many new agers hit me up after this. So if you're in the new age stuff, then you know or have heard of the terms like Palladians, and there's the galactic force, and there's all these other beings up and trying to help us and so on. And some people say even these beings are the ones that told them this information. Now, this is just, again, this is more of the metaphysical alchemy part, science class over, but it's okay because the expo is for the same time. Straight by consciousness. So here's what's really weird. Imagine, if you will, again, imagine, guys, because this is some stuff we don't know, but just, again, potential, that you're a being that if you wanted to come to this planet, right, whether it's dimensionally or from another planet, space, time, whatever it might be, but your energetic capacity is not the Schumann resonance, right? It's something way, way higher up because, again, you are a higher energetic being, right? Not only higher as in above, but just you resonate at a higher state. You would not be able to come and live on this planet unless this planet was converted to a place with a higher natural version of a Schumann resonance, right? Now, what will be the best way to do that? To Trojan horse it. To go in and tell all the humans, hey, we're doing this benevolent thing, and when you see it go up, don't worry, it's fine. It's just because you guys are getting more enlightened and getting more zenful, and it's fine. Don't worry about it. I know you guys have got the research that says it's from electricity and lightning and all that, but no, it's because you guys you're raising your houses. Good job, keep it up. Meanwhile, we're building 5G towers. We're getting electronics everywhere. We're doing all the things that Tesla didn't want to see. It's insane. But so just consider that for a second. So when you're out there hearing about oh yeah, the human resonance is going up for consciousness, and I know because some other beings said that that's the reason. What if those beings actually want to be able to live here and can't because we are at a lower frequency than where they are able to actually survive? So they can trick us into building all these things, giving us the technology, and telling us it's raising for a completely different reason than it really is. So whether we believe that or not, that's still okay. Again, it's all hypotheticals and such and so on, but it's still, you have to understand that there's a difference between what the human resonance is and human consciousness. Now, while, again, you need to have everything running congruently and working together, like if you have a full battery in your car and no gas, you're not going to go. If you've got full gas and no battery, you're not going to go. So while they do have a relation, they're not the same thing, right? And that's what I mean by the human resonance, human consciousness, your divine being that you have, housing your divine godly self. So I hope all that made sense to you guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Just some other like kind of fun just considerations, I guess, is like think about when you go to meditate, right? And if you're not familiar with meditation, it's amazing. You got to do it. But now it's even gotten to where there's certain frequencies and tones that you can listen to that, again, your divine instrument will learn to resonate with and fine tune with and harmonize with. And that will take your consciousness into different realms and new places and new levels of relaxation and understanding. So everything always comes down to the vibrational frequency of where it's at. So that's why it's so important to be in tune. It's very important to know how to communicate, right? And it all relates. All these things are always there at the same time. But what I want to talk about was, so while you have this God energy within you, right? And this is just, again, alchemist talking. So in a lot of animes you'll see, but really like in India and in Sanskrit, they have different hand signs that they do, right? Now, let's imagine that this really is housing energy, right? And we want that energy to do specific things. Well, when you're looking at like a PlayStation controller, right? There's specific circuitry that's in this that's run a very specific way to make sure that when you hit this button, it does a certain thing. When you interchange your grid that you have within your body, right? And you do that and you put your intent into it, those different circuits that you have create different types of programs within your electric body. With me on that? So there's like, you go online and look them up. A lot of them, mudras, I think is what they refer to it. But, again, if you're on screen, that's what a couple of them look like. But just having your hands in these different positions allow different conduits within your body to allow this type of energy to flow through you. But again, guys, this energy cannot flow through you correctly unless it's fine-tuned with the Schumann resonance. Like, and whether you like that or not is, I would like to be at 100,000 hertz. I think that'd be fantastic, but that's just not how the body is designed. It's not how this plane is designed. Now, as you learn to shift between realms and so on, let me know. Sounds wonderful. But then you can start getting into other frequencies that maybe you need there. But at a physical sense, in your conscious sense, they're not the same thing at all, guys. All right. So again, thank you guys so much for joining me. Next week, I'm going to do my best. I have a surprise guest, I think, coming on. Lindsay, thank you. If anyone that's still on the channel still has any questions, I've got like 7 minutes left for the radio show, but that's as far as I've got with the lecture without some of the photos and things I got to get done. Thank you guys for joining. It was awesome. But yeah, next week, I think I'm going to have a surprise guest on. I'm really excited about it. It should be cool. And then again, guys, if you missed yesterday, definitely go back and check out my Facebook page, add me, Halo Marquise. And on YouTube, again, you can look up orderofalchemy.org. Yesterday, we are starting a new offshoot from Alchemy 101 called Midweek Magic. And it's kind of an impersonal version of Alchemy 101, what we talk about on the show. Kind of already informal with this. We get more in depth with magic and energy and other dimensions, fun stuff like that. Midweek Magic, that's what it's about. So if you guys didn't see it yesterday, you can check it out. It was a lot of fun. Again, it should be up on the YouTube page pretty soon. If you have any questions, comments, please leave them in. Message me, halo.marquise@gmail.com. And again, guys, this is Alchemist. I love you. Let's all try to be better humans. See you guys. Facebook, you guys give me longer than anybody else. And we're almost there. I still love you. All right. Have a good night, guys.